Galaxy S24 and the S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. You know what's common in these examples? Well, every ultra flagship phone has a smaller and a more affordable version that sells for a much lesser price. And this is the Xiaomi 14, which is a toned-down version of its top-end Xiaomi 14 Ultra. For a starting price of 70,000 rupees in India or some $800, this phone packs a lot of punch with its flagship-grade performance and display, a really nice set of cameras, and a bigger 4,600 mAh battery. I have been comparing it side by side with the more expensive Galaxy S24, and I am excited to share my findings with you guys, so let's start. Alright, so first of all, I have to put it out there, I really like its form factor. I wouldn't exactly call it a compact phone, but it's extremely handy for sure. It's slightly bigger than the S24 or even the Pixel 8, but these curves on the sides make it fit snugly in the hands. Although I would have liked it if Xiaomi had given a matte finish just like the competition, since this glossy back attracts fingerprint smudges very easily and it can get quite slippery too. Xiaomi also has not disclosed what kind of glass protection they have included at the back, but on the front you get Gorilla Glass Victus 1st Gen. I know it's not as good as the latest Victus 2 that we get with the OnePlus 12 or the Galaxy S24, but it should endure a good level of beating. But one thing I'm not a big fan of is how huge the camera module is that sits on almost 25% of the phone's back. Maybe they could have trimmed it better given that it is a compact phone after all. The display on this device, however, is excellent. It's almost as good as the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. It features a similar LTPO refresh rate mechanism along with a total of 3000 nits of peak brightness. Now, just a little piece of information, peak brightness indicates the highest a smartphone display can go in terms of brightness while displaying something like an HDR video. The thing that actually matters in scenarios such as sunny outdoors is high brightness levels. In this case, the Xiaomi 14 can go up to 1000 nits in high brightness mode versus 1600 nits on the S24. So even though the Xiaomi 14 has 3000 nits of peak brightness, the S24's display will look brighter in most scenarios. But then again, 1000 nits of brightness is bright enough, so I am not complaining. Xiaomi has included little perks here though, like this display has TUV Rainland flicker-free certification, so it flickers less in low lighting conditions like this in comparison to the Galaxy S24. And it has Dolby Vision support too, which is still lacking on the S24 series or even Samsung's TVs for that matter. So yeah, it's fair to say that this is a solid 9 out of 10 display for me. There's really not much to complain here actually. The core quality is great, it can get bright, it's very responsive, I can use it with one hand comfortably, and the in-display fingerprint sensor works very well, so I am happy about it. What's also great here are the haptics. With the new Hyper OS, one of my beloved changes is how Xiaomi has made sure to include haptics not only while typing or unlocking the phone, but with other UI elements too, like while using the volume or brightness slider or while interacting with the elements of the notification shade. I will admit that even though the vibration feedback here is great, it is not as refined as the OnePlus 12 or the Galaxy S24, but it does not feel bad and I have enjoyed interacting with the screen a lot. The speakers on the Xiaomi 14 are only okay though. They are loud with a lot of focus on the highs, but I like the clarity and the depth of the Galaxy S24 better. Alright, so let's talk about the performance now, and things get really interesting here. The Xiaomi 14 features the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is the latest and greatest in the Android world right now, and apart from like ultra flagships, this is the only compact phone that has this chipset included. This phone has a smaller chassis, so I was really interested to see if it could handle all the power of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, and for the most part, it does. It controlled the temperatures very well while gaming. I tested Genshin Impact and PUBG for around 30 minutes each, and the phone did not go above 41 degrees, so that is really nice to see. Xiaomi says they have included something called an ice loop vapor chamber system that has 3 times the thermal efficiency to that of normal vapor chamber cooling solutions, but I think the limitation here is the smaller chassis, because doing something extremely demanding like taking a 30-minute 4K 60 FPS video in the sun makes this phone heat up badly. Once I even got this pop-up saying the device has overheated, so evidently this small phone cannot handle extreme conditions or if you live in a really hot area. While doing other regular things though, there is no shred of heating. Even charging does not heat up this phone, so I appreciate that. Which reminds me, you get a 90-watt adapter inside the box with the Xiaomi 14 that charges the phone in just 40 minutes. And the battery life here is good for something that's really small. Somehow Xiaomi has managed to fit in a 4610 mAh battery in this tiny body, and it gave me around like 5.5 hours of screen on time in regular everyday usage, which can be considered good. Okay, moving on, software-wise, first of all, Xiaomi has upped the update game to 4 years of OS and 5 years of security updates, which is nice. Well, not as nice as Samsung or Pixel, but it's acceptable. Even OnePlus's update commitment is the same, so I will not complain. And number 2, the phone boots on Xiaomi's latest Hyper OS, which feels much lighter and optimized than MIUI. Plus, there are no bloatware apps. I mean, there are apps like Facebook, Netflix, and Snapchat, and a couple of system apps, but nothing else which can actually be considered trash, so I am really happy to see that. I turned off all the app notifications while I was setting up this phone, so I have actually had a pretty much clean and bug-free software experience with this phone. Alright, so let's get to the camera side of things, and this is actually one of the strongest points about this phone. The Xiaomi 14 has a triple camera setup with a 50 megapixel OmniVision Light Fusion 900 primary sensor, a 50 megapixel ultra-wide angle lens, and a 50 megapixel floating telephoto lens capable of 3.2x zoom. The primary sensor here does a great job of maintaining details and dynamic range. Sometimes the dynamic range processing is a little too aggressive and the phone tends to crush the shadows, but other than that, you can get some pleasing images with this phone. Like always, you get 2 modes to shoot from, Leica Vibrant and Leica Authentic. I mostly shot from the Vibrant mode because I found the colors matching Samsung's image processing to a great extent. Like in this instance, I could barely tell the difference between the images. From the color processing to HDR to details, everything looks so similar. But if you're someone who likes toned down colors, you might find yourself using the Authentic mode more often. I have loved clicking macro shots from this phone too. They have a very natural depth and you can get very close to the subjects as well. The macro shots are possible via the telephoto lens, by the way. You also get the option for a couple of AI features like object eraser, and you can edit the sky like this to get some cool pictures, which are nifty little features that are really fun to use. The thing I think Xiaomi needs to improve upon is the ultra-wide angle images. If you look at these samples, you can see how Samsung has optimized the overall shot better, from the edges to colors, everything. Plus, there is no autofocus in the ultra-wide angle mode, which I think is a little miss. Nighttime photos from its primary camera are good though. They are bright, they are brighter than the S24 in many instances. Then again, in extremely low light, the S24 is able to pull out details better, and exposure handling is also superior from the Galaxy S24. I like the portraits from the Xiaomi 14 though. There are just so many options when it comes to focal lengths and effects that you can choose from, and almost all of them will give you unique looking images. I love the black and white filter in particular, which uses the 75mm telephoto lens to take pictures, and it just looks amazing. Likewise, the 75mm Leica portrait mode is another effect that I absolutely adore. I love the background bokeh and the skin tone processing, it just gives you that classic Leica camera vibe. And for those who are wondering, yes, I shot a couple of comparison photos with the S24 as well, and I found the S24 managing the skin tone, finer details, the background bokeh, and edge detection better in most instances. Even in selfies, you will find better details from the S24, but the Xiaomi 14 is not far behind too. I wouldn't mind uploading a few selfies from this phone to my social media account at all. Talking of the front camera, finally, a Xiaomi phone is able to shoot at 4K 60fps from the selfie camera, and I love that it has a better field of view than the S24 itself. The stabilization and everything is very similar between the two. You can take up to 8K videos from this phone, but let's be honest, 4K is more practical, and I like that the 4K 60fps videos are almost as good as the S24. There is a little bit of movement jitter when shooting in motion, but besides that, the videos are quite reliable. Weirdly, you cannot switch between the lenses while recording on the Xiaomi 14, so I hope Xiaomi works on that in the future. Overall, Xiaomi has improved on the camera side of things this time, especially on the video front. There are a few things that they still need to work on apart from the things that I mentioned before, like switching between the lenses in the video mode, a little bit of optimization and consistency when it comes to dynamic range, and also the camera UI. What I found is it can get a little confusing when shooting portraits. Like, you have the option to shoot a 75mm portrait shot here, but you also get a similar option inside the master lens system, and the output is slightly different and the latter is better. So maybe Xiaomi could simplify things a little bit here. Overall, I have loved using the Xiaomi 14. It is a very balanced offering from the company that ticks almost all the boxes, starting with this compact, well-built design, a really nice display, a good haptics, flagship performance with stable software experience, and reliable enough cameras. And if you look at the current launch price of 60,000 rupees, it definitely is a pure value for money compact phone. I wouldn't recommend you get it at its MRP though, because rather than paying 70,000 rupees for the Xiaomi 14, I would choose the OnePlus 12 that sits comfortably at the 65,000 price segment and comes with better gaming performance, cooler thermal capability, better battery life, and faster charging. Not to mention, OnePlus also has a better software experience and brand value too. Plus, for camera enthusiasts, there is the Pixel 8, the iPhone 15, or the Galaxy S24, which time and again appears with some form of discount or the other and offers slightly consistent camera results too. So it's a tough crowd out there. But I believe Xiaomi is on the right path with this phone. It just feels like we are getting a nice year-on-year improvement with the Xiaomi flagships lately and slowly catching up with its competition. So everybody, that was all for my very detailed review of the all-new Xiaomi 14. Let me know which one would you go for, the Xiaomi 14 or the S24, or you have any other choice altogether. Till then, I'm Pratima and thank you so much for watching.